Okay, so welcome to our Thankful Thursdays Freedom Call. And I do this weekly on Thursday evenings, just little tips to move us forward in our finances and in our life. So today we're going to talk about what leads to a richer life and what leads to a richer life for you today. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to carry on our conversation after that to get some ideas about retirement. This continues the conversation that we had last week. So first, I want to take you on a journey. I want to take you on a journey of when you were a young child. So sit back, shut your eyes, contemplate, think back to those days when you were young, you had no cares in the world, you were excited to wake up and jump out of bed. Think about what things did you do? And you're welcome to type them in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, you're welcome to type them in the comments. But what things did you do that brought you joy? Did you ever, take the hairbrush and like sing along to the record player with the hairbrush, pretend you were like a pop star? Did you pretend you were a superhero? Did you love to walk in nature and take hikes? Did you play with your friends? Did you play games outside? I know I did that a lot. We did bike riding and we did skateboarding, and we would just ride and play, and we were excited about life. Think about those things. Bring back those memories. How did it feel? How did you stand? How did your face light up? Back in those days, on the weekends, I would leave in the morning. I wouldn't come home till dinner time, and it was just really a glorious time. That is what I want you to think about. And did any of those things really require a lot of money? Did any of those times when you were a child having joy, singing or dancing or playing or doing kickball or drawing, or maybe you love to cut out little paper dresses for your doll? I actually used to take doll clothes and I used to dress my cat in doll clothes. I mean, you know, I thought about, hey, maybe I could be a fashion designer, maybe I could be a singer, or maybe I could be a ballerina, or who I could be a scientist. I mean, who knows? It was all fun, but I was not worried about, hey, how am I going to look good? Maybe I can have a Rolex, or maybe I can have a fancy Lexus or a Porsche or designer clothes. I was not worried about money. And when I think about it, I believe that I had a richer life as a child than when I became an adult and started chasing after money. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe that's for you. Um, that's how I was. So, what leads to a richer life? Is it money that leads to a richer life? If you think money leads to a richer life, then you're not going to gain true riches. We know the story about Scrooge. He had all the money in the world. Well, not all the money in the world, but he had all the money in the town. He was the rich guy. Did anybody think that he led a rich life? No, the poor people led a richer life because they had relationships, they had family, and we are created for relationship. We're created for community. We're created for that interaction. So, um, in the chat, Gloria says she spent most of her time taking care of siblings. She says, I used to love to read books and more books. My mother thought I would be a librarian. My mother was sickly and my father worked away from home. I had to stay up late to help her. She had asthma. So here again, we're not saying that money makes us rich. We're saying our love to read, our love to take care of our mother, it's relationships. So as we move towards our path to spiritual and financial freedom, as we move to getting out of debt, as we move to feeling that we can be taken care of, we can have our food and shelter and be financially secure, what really leads to a richer life is not necessarily money. Money tends to amplify the problems. Money tends to amplify your character. So let's build a character. Let's build habits that will give you a richer life today. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. What leads to a richer life? How about working hard all day, going through the drive-thru at McDonald's, picking up dinner, sitting in front of the TV watching the Kardashians? Is that, does that lead to, is that the life you want? No. How about the new stuff? How about going on the shopping spree? And, it's fun. It's fun. I don't know a woman that's a friend of mine that hasn't gone out shopping and had some fun. But how soon does that wear off? When you go to your closet and you open it up and you look at all the stuff you want, are you happy? Do you think, wow, I paid all that money for that. I feel good. Or do you open up the closet and say, man, I have nothing to wear. I need to go buy more stuff. How about junk food, convenience food, because you're too tired to make some good food? Does that lead to a richer life? Is that the life that you want? Instant gratification. I think that's what tends to get us into debt. Does going on HSN or QVC and seeing all of those people have these fancy gadgets that you think you're going to make your life better, that you buy, or even going on Amazon and, hey, I'm going to get it the next day, instant gratification, does that lead to a richer life? Does an 80-hour work week lead to a richer life? It's empty. It's empty. Now, as I say all these things, yes, we need to work. Yes, our physical world requires money. We need money to pay our house. We need money for food. We need money to pay for transportation to get to our job. And hey, if you walk to your job, that's awesome. You probably still need money to buy a pair of shoes. Got to protect your feet. So what leads to a richer life? In the chat, again, it says, my neighbor had to get transportation to take her to the hospital. I thought of being a nurse. Okay, nurses. They probably deserve to get paid more than they do, but there's serving there. Those people in the service communities, like nursing and home health care, and even firefighters and police, EMTs, there is a benefit, a richness to your soul of serving another person. All right, here in the chat, Gloria says, I cook enough food for more than one meal, especially on weekends. I used to work 70 hours in 2 jobs. Okay, sometimes there's a season where you're working a whole lot, but you don't want to hang your life on that. Okay, there are seasons for that. So Instead of sitting down and watching TV, we can do, what Gloria said in the chat. We can help our neighbor. We can help our family member. We can read to them. We can serve. And there's a benefit. There's a connection for us and the person we serve. That's the rich life we want. We can have gratitude for what we have, no matter where we're at. We can have gratitude. There's a book I've mentioned before called The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. So much of that book impacted me, but she was a Dutch woman from a Christian family. They were helping Jews, so she got sent to a concentration camp. And she was in one of the barracks where there were fleas all over. And if you've ever had fleas, I've had fleas in the house. It's awful and it's itchy and it's horrible. She thanked God for the fleas. She had gratitude for the fleas. And her sister said, you're crazy. How could you thank God for the fleas? I don't know how Corrie ten Boom had gratitude for the fleas, but later on in the story, you found out that the German Nazi people would not walk into those barracks because of the fleas. So the people in those barracks had the freedom to talk about God and to worship God. And sometimes something that you hate, sometimes something that's a struggle, can turn out to produce a blessing you don't even know. So let's be grateful for everything we have. What else leads to a richer life? Peace. Peace. When you have that gratitude and peace, even when things seem like they're falling apart in the world around us, then having that peace. And I believe the peace comes from relying on God. I believe the peace comes from believing that He sees things that I don't see, and that He's got things in control, and that He will continue to bless my efforts because He cares for me. What else leads to a richer life? Family time. And I'm not talking about family time where everybody is in a different room on their phones texting to each other, oh, dinner's ready, come eat, and then everybody has their phones. No, I'm talking, that's not family time. That's people sitting next to each other. Family time is communication. How about stewardship of what we have, being faithful with what we have? How about giving to the poor? In the chat again, my feet were always swollen and I felt tired. I was not getting richer. I was spending more. I bought things like magazines, but I didn't even have the time to read them. How often have we done that? We bought something, did not even have the time to use it. People have things hanging in their closet that still have the tags on them. And magazines, that's just advertising to get you to buy more stuff you don't need. It really is. So what leads to a richer life now is your choices. Take a look at your choices. Are you watching now? Hey, we all need a break. We're going to watch TV. We're going to watch a movie, but be aware of your choices. Are you doing that all the time? Or are you having evenings where you invite some friends over for fellowship, where you have a family game night, where you just go out and walk, get out with nature? Life is happening right now. Whether you're in debt or whether you're out of debt, whether you have a little money or whether you have a lot of money, what leads to a richer life now is how you're spending your time. Because you can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. You can make more money, you can be wiser with your money, you can grow your nest egg, but you cannot make more time. So thank you for spending the time with me here, because this is time you're not going to get back. And I hope what I have shared has given you something to latch onto to make your life richer today, to make your life richer now, in your house. Whoever is in your house, give them a hug. Your daughter, your spouse, your dog, your cat, give them a hug and have gratitude. And maybe you live by yourself. The next opportunity you have to give a handshake to your neighbor, or a hug to your neighbor, or a phone call to somebody you haven't talked to in a while, do that as soon as we get off the call. That is what leads to a richer life. Now, moving on to the retirement side. It's a fact, again, we need money to live. And we had a whole conversation about retirement and investments. Again, I want to share it from the chat. When we share with other people, it makes us happier. Yes, on Sunday evening, all three of us went to a lady's house and prayed for her and her husband. Yes, community, conversation, relationship. That's really what life is about. So from last week, we did talk about retirements and investments, and it is a thing that makes people uncomfortable. Some people bury their head in the sand, and then retirement comes and there are struggles. So there are two things that we did not get to. And these things are going to require your homework. So we shared a little bit about Social Security. I believe it's the AOC in Canada. They're unlimited payments. I'm going to focus on America. I believe Canada's pretty similar. You have your choice on whether to take your Social Security retirement at 62 or at 72. And if you have not made that decision because you're not at that age, now is the time to call your government agency and get your sheet as to what they expect your retirement payments to be, what they'll be at 62, what they'll be at 65, what they'll be at 72. There are so many different people that say, hey, wait until 72 because you're going to get a bigger payment, and that's always going to be better. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not true, but you need to crunch the numbers. So here is what I'm telling you. If you choose, what if you don't live till 72? Look at your family life expectancy. Then you're not going to get anything. So all of the money that you spent on taxes, the government gets to pocket and not even give it to you. So, but you got to do the math. Now, if you are a person that is willing to study and learn from people that have invested, it is possible at age 62 to start collecting your retirement now, but not spending it. So you're putting it in your pocket, you're investing it at 62, 63, 64, 65, all those years, and you're kind of pretending that you're not getting it. And if you put that in an investment, you have to research your own investments. It is possible that when age 72 hits, that all of those years of investing your paycheck starting at 62 from the government, that they could give you a return that would be equal to what you would actually get if you waited until you were 72. But then you kind of have a lump sum of money that's been invested that's now paying you. Does that make sense? Does that kind of make sense, Gloria? All right, and you're welcome to, unmute as we get into the Q&A. So I'm just saying that is an idea. Now, if you've already started collecting Social Security, you really want to take a look at what your expenses are, because things are getting more expensive, and see if you can take a portion of that and create something that can give you more of a cash flow. And we will talk about those things in our future segments every week. So this is just an idea. If you are not retirement age yet, that's the perfect time to analyze those numbers. Gloria says that one of her friends is already collecting hers from age 60 and saving it. I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. Again, you need to run your own numbers. You need to crunch your own numbers. You need to analyze them. And there can be a different answer for everybody. All right, the final thing is with retirement, I see this all the time. Sometimes you might want to consider what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you, I don't want you to shut your mind off. It might not be for you. It might not be for you. It might be for somebody you know. It might be for you down the road. I don't know. But what I see is people moving in retirement to a different location that has a different cost of living. Now, this is not for everyone. I see so many people retiring from New York. New York, they get some big money in New York. All right? People have set up their retirement plans, or some people even have government pensions that make it hard for them to live in New York because it's very expensive. I have in-laws in New York, and I think the oil bill runs like $500, $600, $800 a month in winter. Right, that's insane. I don't even know how they can eat. But these people come down to Florida for whatever they sold their house for. They can buy a house in Florida for half price and have it be way nicer than what they had. Florida does not have a state income tax. So they're saving more of their money. Like so many people move to a different state. So what do the people in Florida do? The people in Florida move to Tennessee. I don't know what the people in Tennessee do, but the thing that I'm saying is you may want to consider having your golden years in a place that is going to get you more for your money. And it doesn't even have to be in your own country. I went to visit South Africa. I know Gloria's here, went with your daughter Monique, and I considered, hey, the cost of living, the price of food was so low. We were at a 5-star hotel. I ordered room service for dinner, and it was $10 for the dinner and tip in a 5-star hotel. All right, I can't even go to the corner grocery store and get dinner for $10 in America. There was a woman who kind of had a medical emergency as we landed. She had to go to the emergency room. She didn't have travel insurance. She went to the emergency room. She was there overnight. She came back to the hotel, and a doctor actually came over the following day to check up on her. You're welcome to put in the chat, or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you're welcome to put in the chat, how much do you think an overnight hospital stay would be out of your pocket, including the ambulance, then being transported back to the hotel, then having an in-service doctor come to you? All right. Think of a number. If you're watching the replay, type it down below. What would that cost in your country? With no insurance. Even with insurance, I'm sure it would be a couple $1,000s. It cost her $600 for all of that. And she said she got better care there than she's ever gotten in America. And she's a health professional. So this is just food for thought. I'm not saying it's right for everybody. Maybe somebody wants to try it for a few years just to save some money. People are moving to, Gloria says, we have people here called snowbirds who have a house in Florida. They stay from December to April every year. Okay, yeah, we call them snowbirds as well. Maybe you want to have 2 homes. Okay, you need to have a little more money for 2 homes, but if you want cash flow, when you're at one place, you can rent out the other or do an Airbnb. Okay, then you get some cash flow, then you have a business, then you have tax advantages. So these are so many ideas to help you have a financially richer life in your retirement. But remember, you also want to have the spiritually richer life, the socially richer life. It's not all about the money. Um, I've looked at people who have moved to Thailand, to the Philippines. I actually taught English in Hong Kong before Hong Kong reverted to China. That was back when it was still a British territory. And they call them expats, like expatriates, people that have moved from their home country to live and reside in another. So that's kind of an exciting thing. I do know a couple of people who have given up their home so they can either go get an RV and travel the country or even take a world cruise to be on a cruise ship for a whole year. They have those programs. So they've actually sold their home. That way, they don't have to pay a mortgage. They don't have to pay homeowners insurance. They don't have to pay HOA bills. They don't have to pay electric. They don't have to pay water. They don't have to pay property taxes. So all the money that they would spend on a home, and then you're talking repairs, and the AC broke, and then the dishwasher broke, and then you have maintenance, and then there's a window, and mowing the lawn service fees, or the pest fees, all those fees add up. Imagine if you downsized in retirement, sold everything, and it would actually be cheaper for you to live on a cruise ship. And then when you got tired, you could come back to land, get your retirement house. But again, these are just ideas, just ideas. You don't have to be stuck where you are. There's a whole world out there. Be creative, use the imagination God gave you, and remember, you can have a richer life now. Take care of the people in your circle, love yourself, love them, and have a richer life today. Thank you so much for joining us for Thankful Thursday's Freedom Call, and put your questions down below if you're watching the replay. Hit the like button, and if you're here live, you are welcome to ask a question or comment. I see again in the chat, my daughter has a sister who taught English in Japan for 10 years. Yeah, how about that? That would be a great retirement idea. Maybe you can teach something in a foreign country. How fun would that be? All right, so any questions, any thoughts about this? Is some of this new info for you? I hope you're getting inspired.
Well, when you say about sharing and things like that, even when my family left and came to Canada and I was alone back home with my daughter, at Christmas time, I invited somebody from the church to come and have dinner with me. And because the lady lives a little further away from where I live, maybe it would take her an hour to walk from where she lives to go to church, and I know I could provide a nice meal for her. So I tell her, come to my house, follow me over, and she had a young man with her. It wasn't her own child. I think she took him and she cared for him. So both of them were at my house for the remainder of the evening. Then we had something at church later on in the evening. Then we left from my house and then went to church. And the church is just 5 minutes walk from my house. So I remember that. And I often wonder what happened to that lady. I know she must have passed, but what happened to the young man if he made something good of his life and all that. Also, I have my aunt lives close by, and one of my cousins tend to be close to me because I had a car. I would allow him to use the car. He could use it for excursion or to go to the airport to pick up somebody, make some money and so on. I didn't tell him that he have to give me part of the money. It's up to him what he wants to do, because if something is wrong with the car, he knows about how to fix car. I would say to him, well, I think something is wrong with the brakes or whatever, and he would show me how to do certain things in the car, and I would learn from him. So I didn't really take pay from him or anything like that. And I invited him over one Christmas too, and we shared a meal together, and he was very grateful for it. And then later on, when he learned that I will be migrating, I could see that he was like crying. I mean, real tears coming down. He said, I don't know who I'm gonna talk to when you're gone. That's what he said. And he come from a family of about 8 other children. And he also have a twin brother too. So but that is it. He was close to me because even when I worked out of town, just before I came here to Canada, I had to board my daughter with somebody in order that I could work out of town. And then I had a dog there at the house. He would see to it that the dog was fed, and he had a key to the house in case of any emergency or anything like that, because I didn't really go around and tell people I'm not gonna be here. I'll be in Kingston from Monday to Friday. I would leave very early in the morning. On a Monday morning, I would leave like about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and travel to Kingston, and then I would come back Friday night. That was my life before I came here for about 7 months. It was very short time. Yeah.
Well, Gloria, I appreciate your heart and I'm inspired by you. You are an amazing woman, and it just really goes to show that when we're on our deathbed, it's not going to be how much money is in our bank account, but it's going to be those stories, those
I
heartfelt
hope
stories
so.
of where you touched somebody's heart.
Mhm.
And I'm so excited that you are going to pack for your trip tonight, and you're
Yeah.
definitely taking this lesson, what perfect timing, a rich life now. Enjoy your trip with your daughter, and
Yes.
anybody else. If you don't have a trip planned, even if it's just a day trip with somebody you love, make your life rich now. Make your life rich today. Go out and do something with your heart, with somebody you love, somebody that you can have the opportunity to care for. So,
Yes, because I've had friends that I said, come, let us go for dinner, and I pay for the dinner. That doesn't mean that the people who you invite out, that doesn't mean that they will invite you. You're not doing it to get something in return. You're doing it because you care about them.
yes,
Yeah.
perfectly said. All right. Good night, Gloria. I can't wait to hear about your trip, and we will be back next week.
Okay, God's willing.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Have a good night. Bye.
Too.
Okay.